Hey, this is Chantal Gerardy from Online Business Marketing, and today we're going to be talking about how you can get results and growth and visibility and opportunities through social media when you understand how to use the algorithms and you understand how to use hashtags. In fact, you don't need to pay for ads if you know how to do this. Now, some of you might be thinking that I'm joshing you, but that's not the truth. I actually grew a six-figure business in 5 years with no paid advertising, and it was purely on understanding how the algorithm works and how hashtags work. So it's different for all the platforms. I'm going to go through all of it today. I've got a massive, massive presentation for us today. It's super exciting. But so many people rush this process or don't respect the algorithm or the hashtags, and then they wonder why they're not getting results. And today I'm going to show you exactly how this works. Basically, hashtags and how the algorithm works is very much like SEO, okay? Search engine words. It's about putting words into the right place that helps to attract and magnetize and pull in the content and create opportunities. But there is two ways in order to make this happen, and most people only do the first one. So the first one is making sure that you have set up your profile correctly, and obviously I'm going to go through all of that today. Set it up correctly using the right words and in the right place, respecting the platform and the audience. That will increase your algorithm. But the second part, the part that most people don't do, is where you go out on social media and you find your ideal clients or partners in your business who have your ideal clients, and you engage in their content, because that impacts the algorithm by engaging in their content. A lot of people don't do that. They just go me, 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 and they don't go out and do it. So I'll explain today how that's going to work, but I want to get all the good stuff out right from the beginning. So we're going to talk about algorithms and hashtags, what they actually are and how they work on all the different platforms. We're going to talk about how to research them and strategically use them. We're going to talk about how many to use, where to place them, and when. And this one over here, right? Like, no one actually knows. Like, I've asked ChatGPT today what currently today, and we're on today's the 26th of May 2025. That is what will be working right now for algorithms and hashtags, but they do change all the time. It doesn't mean you've got to throw your hands up in the air and give up. It just means you've got to stay engaged in your platforms, and you've got to watch and monitor and get metrics and data so you can see what's working or not working. I'm going to talk to you about shadow banning. I don't know if anyone here knows about shadow banning, but if you do, put your hands up if you know about shadow banning and how to stay visible. So no one here knows about shadow banning. Okay, so I'm going to show you how hashtags and algorithms can replace ads when you use them correctly. And this is like a weird one, because you hear so many people going, organic marketing doesn't work. Because organic marketing doesn't work, you have to pay for ads. But if you ask who's saying that, it's always the ads people who are saying that, or people using ads who are saying that. So, and then whenever you say like, should I like, sorry, what's the second thing? So they always say that, like, when should I be using, they always say, ads don't work. But then there's a whole bunch of other people as well who are getting massive results on ads. So for example, I've got a whole bunch of friends who are psychologists, and I've got a whole bunch of friends that are on the spiritual side, and they're very much into life coaching. And the life coaching people will do exceptionally well organically on social media, and the psychologists will be going out and going, we're just going to pay for ads and get it done. And then the psychologists get annoyed that the weekend life coaches are doing so well and getting so many clients organically off social media. And it's because they know how to use the platform. It's because they respect the audience and they respect the platform and they use the right words. And then I'm going to talk about how engaging with those hashtags as well. So doing that second part that I was talking about earlier, that really important second part is important, and that should be in your daily activities. So your daily activities is going out to your referral partners, engaging in their customers' content and their content as well as going out following other hashtags as well. You need to make sure that that's in your daily activity, and obviously doing hashtag research too. And then, of course, making sure that your bios and your about sections are completed and they're done correctly. Because most people, when they're setting up their little about sections and their descriptions and their bios, they put something really quick in there. They'll go, something really quick, like, I do marketing, I'm a marketing strategist. They go, I'll come back and do that later. But you've got like 155 words that you can put in there, and they'll go, I'll do that later. they haven't actually gone in there and been specific, like maybe the location specific, or maybe your niche is specific, or maybe your ideal client is specific. Like you need to put those words in because those words matter, and they'll actually attract what you want to your platform, which is so important. So what are social media algorithms? Which I'll let you know once I let the dogs inside. Come on. Okay, social media algorithms, they're a set of rules or data-driven systems that will determine how content is shown to users. So basically, the platform can't read things. It can't read your mind. Okay, well, you think it does read your mind, but the way it reads your mind by what you're putting in, right? So what you put into the platform is how it actually reads your mind. So I've got a really funny story. My daughters the one day picked up my best friend's husband's phone, and they were looking at TikTok videos, and they were like, why on his TikTok channel there's like all these people doing, like these half naked people doing dance routines? And they were going like on their TikTok, going on our TikTok, we don't have half naked dancing people on my TikTok. Like, why is that? And that is because he would have been liking, engaging, and watching and looking. And that is why his is full of that content, and why my daughter's content is not full of that content. Have you ever picked up someone else's phone and like picked up the phone and looked at it and gone, what the heck is this? This isn't my phone. And suddenly it's sport or it's something else. And it's because the algorithm is trained by what they're actually watching, right? So it's actually quite funny, because when now that you're going to go look at other people's phones and you're going to look at their social media and you're going to go, I know what you're actually looking for at the moment, right? So how does it work? Well, so a couple of things that it tracks. It tracks the user's behavior. So what are you liking, commenting on? How long do you sit and watch something for, and do you share it? And then it determines whether or not it's going to show you more of that content. Then it looks for relevancy. Now, relevancy is super important. I cannot say this again. In the olden days, people would just use like hashtags that were well known, but those hashtags had nothing to do with their content. They were just trying to piggyback off that hashtag for their own content. The platforms don't like that at all. Okay, relevancy is one of the most important thing. Whatever you're talking about inside your post has got to be relevant to your audience, relevant to what you do, and the hashtags need to be relevant. Really important. So captions, keywords, and hashtags. They used to say like clickbaiting. They'd go, somebody goes and they put like a heading on it, and the heading has nothing to do with what they're actually talking about in the post. But they did that to try and catch you, to try and get you to read it. It's firstly, your audience hates it, and secondly, the algorithms hate it. So don't do that. So the third thing then is engagement signals. So it's like how fast users respond. So they have a look at your content and they go like, how fast do they respond? Now, just for your knowledge, if you go to my personal Facebook account, it is a Meta verified account, and I'm actually earning dollars off my posts. I probably earn anything from 50 cents to $2 per post that I do. And I'm actually earning money. I've never paid for ads, but I'm actually earning money based on it. And that is because I create engaging content that people are quick to respond to. They share, they engage, and they come back and they look for more. And then Facebook rewards me and goes, thank you very much. You're putting out engaging content. We're going to actually reward you for doing that. And they're actually paying you now, which is kind of cool. And that's on my personal profile for some of you who might be wondering. And then the next one is about consistency. So are you putting out fresh, consistent content, or you're beating like the same stuff through? Like, are you remaining creative, and are you remaining interesting? Are you keeping it captivating? And that's basically how it looks at it. So those five areas is what really the algorithms are looking for when it comes to that. So just remember, it is platform specific. So I always say this: respect your audience and respect the platform you're using. Come on. Respect your audience and respect the platform that you're using. Very, very important, because your audience on one platform may be completely different to your audience on the other platform. They might be a different age, gender, their likes might be different. What the type of content they consume may be different. But as always, I say, respect the platform, respect the audience. And the other thing I always say is spend 80% of your time on the income producing platform and 20% on the other platforms, and 20% just repurposing content so that you have branding consistency across the other platforms. So for us, I don't think I've ever got one client through Instagram. We just use that as credibility, and we just repurpose content across it. It looks good, but we don't go on there and spend most of our time on that. It's a waste of time for us because we get enough through Facebook and LinkedIn. All right, so what are hashtags and why do they matter? So if you think about hashtags as they tags, like SEO, metadata, they are like words that you put in, and it's how people discover you. So if people are searching and using those words, that's how they find you. It's like a magnet. If it's the same as if you start looking at fridges on Facebook, all of a sudden you'll have 1,000 fridges coming up on your feed, right? It's exactly the same. So you want to make sure that you're using the words that your customers are going to be using, not your fancy ass words, but the words that they would be using, even if they're the wrong words. An example of this is when I had my Health, Wellness and Fitness Center, there was a myotherapist who worked with us. And because she did all the studies to do myotherapy, she was like, I'm advertising for myotherapy. And I'm like, no one knows what a myotherapist is. They're all searching for remedial massage. And she was like, but I've studied more, and to become a myotherapist, I don't want to be putting in the words remedial massage. And I was like, I know, but they're not putting in myotherapist. They're putting in, they want a remedial massage, they want acupuncture, they want pain relief, they want sports massage, and then they will find you the myotherapist, right? Those are the words they've got to use. And it took a while, but she finally got there in the end. So how do they work? Well, basically they help to categorize your content. So, you know, if you put the hashtag in there, all those hashtags are categorized and fall under almost in those like little blocks. It helps to increase your content reach because the platforms, it's technology. It has to know what you're interested in, what other people are interested in, so it can match you. So it increases your reach. So when you're talking about fridges, you'll find fridges. And then it improves your discoverability in your niche or trending conversations. So especially if there's like trending hashtags, or, you know, like when I did the ray gun thing, I got like 15,000 views for my ray gun impersonation because I used a trending hashtag, right? So being aware of trending hashtags and then creating content to leverage that is important. But again, relevancy is important. You're not going to create a post on marketing strategies and then not talk about ray gun or anything and then put the ray gun tag in there. The platforms don't like that at all. They'll actually it's called shadowbanning, and I'll go more into that, but they'll actually stop sharing your content because there's no relevancy. So relevancy is really important. They improve your discoverability. We've said that already. And then the fourth one is they signal to the algorithm what your content is about. As I said, the content can't really read images, although apparently they are getting better at reading images now, but they can't really read what you're putting there. So the only way they can work out what you're talking about and what you're trying to promote or say is based on the words that you use. So they are really important. So if we look at your organic ad-free strategy, basically hashtags and algorithms can do exactly the same thing if you want to get seen by the right people. And for me, marketing's not about engagement and visibility, and it's about getting customers. And the only way to do that is to make sure that you are talking to the right person using the right language. And I'd rather get less engagement, less views, less likes. And we have recently just created a whole bunch of content around that. So instead of paying to show up in feeds, hashtags and algorithms can help you appear in search results, be featured in the explore or discover pages. And for our live audience, I can show you that at the end of this recording. And they can build consistent visibility in niche communities as well. So a smart organic strategy and ad-free reach is algorithms and hashtags. So how do they work on each platform? Let's talk about Instagram right now. And for our live audience, you guys will get the written content. It will be put into our VIP marketing masterclass. So you will get this, but feel free to write them down as well. So for Instagram prioritizes relevancy, consistency and creativity and engagement. And the hashtags, the ideal range is between 11 and 15. And you've got to use a mix of branded, niche, and trending. So I always like to think of like South Africa, we call them robots, but traffic lights, right? You've got green, you've got orange, and you've got red ones. And it's like the green ones are like everybody's kind of using them. The yellow ones are a little bit quirky, a little bit sort of on the edge. And the red ones are very specific and niche to what it is that you're using. So you want to have a blend inside there. So if you've got 11 to 15, you're looking at, 4 to 5 of each of those 3 different types. For searchability, the hashtags are indexed in the search. So you can go to a hashtag feed and actually see them in the feed. Especially if you place it in the caption, not the comments. Now, this over here is very controversial because if you go out to social media right now on the 26th of May, 2025, and you ask people will say, oh no, you've got to put the link in the comments. So you'll see people do they write it, and they put the link inside the comments. According to ChatGPT, so this is not me, and I've told you both, I've given you two solutions to this. They are saying that it is actually better for you to put it in the caption, not in the comments. So to put the hashtags in the caption, not in the comments. So you want to use long tail hashtags. So in the olden days, it was like VA, coach. It was like little short tail hashtags. Now it is like hashtag VA business coach versus hashtag business. Just remembering that when you do hashtags, there's no spaces between the long tail hashtags. If you are a location-based business, it is very important that you use targeted local hashtags. So for example, Sharon, someone like you want to make sure that you're using targeted hashtags that are key to your location. And then you want to make sure that you rotate the hashtags. So a lot of people in the olden days used to copy paste. They used to have a hashtag folder and they'd copy paste them and just put the same ones in all the time. You will get shadow banned. I will go into what shadow banning is, but you will get shadow banned if you do that. You can't. You need to be typing them in, and they need to be in random orders all the time when you do put them in. So in LinkedIn's a bit more professional, and I like to say just a little bit more of it is what it is. So you can kind of get a bit quirky, and like on Instagram, you might go, if it's going to be like a kind of a quirky hashtag, you could go, ain't got no time for this, and it's like a long tail sort of hashtag. But you'd never do something like that on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, it is like social media management, like it is what it is. Marketing masterclass, it is what it is. You don't have to be creative at all. So for LinkedIn, how the algorithm works is it watches how long people spend on your comments. So how long are people staying there to read it? Do they comment? Do they share? What interactions are they giving? You only need to use 3 to 5 hashtags on LinkedIn, and you need to keep them highly relevant and professional. For searchability, posts with hashtags show in search results and on topic pages. So again, if you search them up at the top, there is actually a feed of the hashtags where you can go and find them. And as I said, I will be showing you that for our live audience. So for tips, avoid hashtag overkill. So people on LinkedIn get a bit annoyed, and so does the platform get annoyed when they see that you're using 15 hashtags. They know that you've copy pasted from Instagram. So you want to make sure that whilst you can repurpose content, you still want to make sure that you are prioritizing the platform and the audience. So you might write the same post if it's relevant to the same audience. Stop it. Sorry, so sooky. Or else alternatively, just change the hashtags, so still just go onto the platform and take the time just to change the hashtag. So avoid hashtag overkill, it looks spammy. Create branded hashtags. So for me, I've got a hashtag called Chantal said, hashtag Chantal said. I went and searched a hashtag years ago, found it. Do I put on it every single one of my posts? No, I don't. But that is my own hashtag. So if I go to use it, if you ever go search the hashtag Chantal said, you'll see some of my content. I haven't actually used it in ages, but you'll see my contents on there. And then you can engage with other posts under those hashtags again. So we spoke about that second part that people don't do, which is so important, and that is going out and engaging on other people's posts that have those hashtags, and that boosts your visibility. So let's talk about Facebook. So Facebook is all about meaningful engagement. So it's about comments and shares and video watch time. All right. Hashtags are really optional. So Facebook's a little bit like Google, where the words you put in actually count. Just like on Google, like on SEO, the words you put in counts. On Facebook, it's the same. So it's not really relevant for you to use hashtags on Facebook, and they're not widely used because people don't, there is a hashtag feed, but no one goes onto that hashtag feed and looks at that hashtag feed. But it's good for you to be aware that at least it is there. They're not widely used. So you would use 1 to 3 max if it's relevant. For searchability, it's limited because Facebook favors groups and friend networks over hashtag searching. So they prefer you to be using Facebook groups and engaging in friends' content rather than actually using hashtags. And tips, so use hashtags for campaigns. So for example, I don't know, if you've got an end of financial year 2025 special, you might want to use that. If you've got a live masterclass, you might use that. But yeah, they're not widely used. For TikTok, algorithms prioritize watch time, completion rate, and engagement. So hashtags are 3 to 6, which is optimal. And you want to be leveraging the trending sounds and the hashtags. So not just the hashtags, but you also want to look at the trending sounds. For searchability, it's extremely searchable. So hashtags are very important on TikTok. Hashtags are the primary navigation method in TikTok. You want to use 1 to 2 trending hashtags and then 2 to 3 niche ones. And you want to combine with sounds and effects for maximum exposure. There is also a discover tab, so you can go in and you can search content based on the hashtags. YouTube. So the algorithm prioritizes click-through rates, watch time, and keywords. You can use 3 to 5 in the video description or the title. For searchability, keywords in title or description carry more weight. So remember what I said about Google? Google doesn't really need hashtags. It's just about the words that you use. YouTube is Google, so it's exactly the same. So you can use hashtags, but keywords in the title and description carry more weight, but hashtags can help. So you might choose to use hashtags for challenges. So for example, hashtag shorts or hashtag productivity tips. And you might want to combine it with the SEO rich title and thumbnail. So for Pinterest, the algorithm priorities are keyword relevance, user behavior, and engagement. Hashtags you can use sparingly. You want to focus more on keywords in titles and descriptions. Your searchability, users search via keywords more than they do hashtags, so it's a little bit more like Facebook. Tips, you want to use 2 to 4 hashtags maximum, and you want to prioritize exact match keywords in pin descriptions. So again, those it's more like LinkedIn, those hashtags. It is what it is. So it's kind of like they have their categories already and you want to stick to their categories rather than forming new ones. So how do you research hashtags that grow your reach? Well, you can use the platform search bars. So in every single social media platform, up at the top somewhere, there's a little magnifying glass and you can search. So you can actually put in your niche, you can put in the hashtag, and you can go and check and see the hashtags that are being used, and you can see whether or not they are highly used, whether or not they're lowly used, and it will give you some related suggestions as well. So if you're looking at that traffic light system of like red, yellow, green ones, you want to make sure that you look at the related suggestions as well, because there'll be sort of like the high use ones, the medium, and then the low use ones. And it's good for you to be on the low use ones on platforms like Instagram, because if you go into a high use one, when you go on there, people will struggle. They'll scroll like 5 times and they can't actually see your content. So being on some low use ones can be quite powerful as well. You can then also explore hashtag tools. So for Instagram and TikTok, you can use Flick, Hashtagify, TikTok Creative Center. On LinkedIn, you could manually search, or you could track influencers in your niche. On YouTube, you could use TubeBuddy or vidIQ. So number 3 is stalking your competitors. And that is looking at your competitors or top creators in your space and going, what hashtags are they consistently using that is helping them to rank on good content? So if content is ranking and it's doing well, you want to look at it. I mean, there's a few things you're going to look at, but one of those things is definitely going to be that hashtag as well. You're going to look at the hook. You're going to look at the image. You're going to look at the type of words they're using in the content. You're going to look at the day and the time, but of course, you're also going to look at the hashtags they're using. Remember, you're not going to copy all of them and not in the right order, in the same order, because you'll get shadow banned again. So number 4 is 4 ways to build hashtag sets to test. Okay, so this is the 4-step method to build your hashtag sets. So number 1, around the brand. Like, what is your brand? Okay, so again, remember, marketing is about what you do. It's not what you do that's the same as everyone else. It's what you do that's different. So you're going to be looking at writing down what are your branding, your branding keywords, because those are going to be your hashtags. And you're obviously going to go research them. Number 2 is your audience. Who is your audience? And like, what are they interested in right now? So for example, I might be doing maybe I'll be doing like a motivational post on discipline. And I might then hashtag Tony Robbins, because Tony Robbins talks about discipline. And because my ideal clients are into personal development, they'll be looking at Tony Robbins' content, they'll find me. So it's what is your audience looking at. The third one is your niche or your industry. So what are the words in your niche or industry that people are looking at? So for example, I'm working with a lady Crystal, who has a directory for freelancers, Australian freelancers. And we've been using she's been using right in the beginning, Australian freelancers, but people are not searching for Australian freelancers. They're searching for VAs. So we want to make sure that we're using the right word. Even though they're Australian, they're still searching for Australian VAs. So it is important for us to look at the niche, the industry, and of course, that also connects to the audience and what words they're using. And then the last step, number 4, is the pain points or the transformation. Okay? So decision-making fatigue. All right, so a lot of people I work with have got decision-making fatigue. That is the pain that they're struggling with. So I might use that as a hashtag. What is the outcome? Freedom lifestyle. So you want to look at some of the pain points and transformational hashtags as well. And then, of course, you're going to test them. And remember, you're going to check for relevancy on the platform, relevancy on the audience, and relevancy on the post, because they don't like it if it's not relevant to the post. All right, so where is the placement? Where do you actually place this? So on Instagram, you place it in the caption, hashtags in the caption. LinkedIn, you put the hashtags at the end of the post. Facebook, you put them at the caption and you use them sparingly. TikTok, you use them in the caption. YouTube, you put them in the title or description. And Pinterest, you use them in the description. So you always prioritize relevancy over quantity. All right, so let's just talk a little bit more about the words then that you're actually putting into the platform and how it affects your algorithm. So the words that you use in your captions, your video descriptions, your bios, is all going to affect who sees your content, when your content shows up, and what search terms you've actually been indexed for. So a lot of the time, people will honest, they will forget about their bio or their about section, which is what I spoke about beforehand. Your banners are your banners are really important, but that's an image, so it's not your banners, but it is your bios and your about sections and your descriptions that are so important that they have your keywords. So if you look at your Instagram bio, does it have those keywords? Okay, so you want to use keywords that your audience would type. So marketing VA trainer, not just VA coach. You want to add the location if it's relevant. If it's not relevant, you don't have to worry about it. If it's Australasia, you're going to put in Australasia. And then you want to include your niche or your industry. Okay, so I'm just going to say that again. In your bios and your about sections and descriptions, you want to make sure that you're using the keywords that your audience would type, the location, if it's relevant, and sometimes it could just be online or in person rather than like a location. And for e-commerce, it could be free shipping or something, something like that. And then, of course, your industry or your niche. Now, there is a hack around this. You can actually go into ChatGPT, and if you've customized your ChatGPT, you can ask your ChatGPT, please create me an Instagram bio that's going to help the algorithm, help my online audience find me using the algorithm. Okay, so you say, understanding my business, understanding my ideal clients, please create me a bio with my keywords. And you can say with my keywords, my location, my industry, or my niche, and it should give you some suggestions. Also go do some market research, go stalk your competitors. So this is going to help you to show up in when people are searching, even without you posting. So you do want to get that right. So what is the shadow banning that I've been talking about, and how do you avoid it? Well, shadow banning is when content becomes invisible or significantly less visible without you being notified. So you don't get notified, but all of a sudden you have a look and your content is just, all its visibility is gone, all its engagement's gone, everything is just not like showing up. You've gone from like having some good results to suddenly nothing. So this happens when you've used banned or spammy hashtags. So for example, if you use hashtag follow me or hashtag booty, they are two spammy, they banned hashtags because they've been overused on platforms. Because I know all of you are going to use hashtag booty in your content. So number 2 is repeatedly copied and pasted the same content. So if you're copying and pasting the same post content and the same the same hashtags in the same order and the same ones, they will do that. If you have violated community guidelines, and that changes all the time, so just read them when they come up. Or if you've engaged in unnatural activity. So they don't like unnatural activity, which they like to call spamming activity, which is like mass liking or commenting. So for example, remember how I said earlier, you would add this to your daily activity. You'd add number 2 to your daily activity. Why wouldn't I add it to my weekly activity, like once a week? Because if you were to go once a week and go like, comment, like, comment, like, comment, like, comment, like, comment, like, comment, you're going to get shadow banned. You're going to get knocked on the knuckles. Okay. So for us, what we do, we spend 20 minutes a day. I'm not quite sure what Brooke does, but it's probably around 20 minutes a day going into the Facebook groups, liking, commenting, engaging. So we don't get wrapped over the knuckles because we're avoiding unnatural spamming activity. So how do you stay safe? Well, avoid using the same hashtags in every post. Make sure you rotate them. Don't use hashtags known to be spammy, so you can check before using. You can keep engagement genuine, so don't automate fake likes or comments. And read the platform's community guidelines. So always use clean sets of hashtags and check them in tools like IQ hashtags or Flick to make sure they're not banned. Not even sure. You could probably test and go into ChatGPT and ask them if they know which hashtags are banned. So engage to expand. How do you use the hashtag feeds strategically? So remember how I said that if you go up to the search bar, you can put in the words and it'll actually bring up the hashtag feed. So if there is hashtag VA marketing coach, I can go in, put VA marketing coach, and all the content from all the people that have used VA marketing coach will all be on a feed. Okay. So the hashtags aren't just for your post. It's also where your audience hangs out. So people will be going into those feeds and looking at content. And this is where you can go in and engage in that content and put similar people in front of your content. So a good way to explain it is that in Facebook groups, we go into community groups and we engage in the content and they come back and they follow us on our platforms. Hashtags do the same thing in, for example, in Instagram. So you could follow relevant hashtags. So follow relevant hashtags that are, relevant to you and your referral partners as well. Engage on other people's posts using those hashtags. So you could like, you could comment, you could save the post. You could start conversations in those feeds. So you could, if somebody said something about something, you could add your credibility, add your expertise in there, and maybe ask a question. You could create posts specifically targeted at trending or niche hashtag feeds. So for example, if there's a hashtag that's trending right now with the ray gun one, you can basically jump onto those feeds. I shared my reel onto the ray gun, onto some of the ray gun content where people were talking about it. And I was like, yeah, I did it. Like, have a look over here. And that of course is going to increase my reach. So you can train the algorithm And as I said, it drives me nuts because people go, the algorithm's not working. You have to pay for ads. Blah, blah. No, you don't. There's so many people that are making so much money by doing this, by getting this part right. You just got to make sure that you associate it with the relevancy of your topic, and that you're an active contributor, not just a broadcaster. So you're not just talking at people, but you're also going and engaging in other people's content and asking it. So remember the two things you've got to do. So how do you incorporate this into your content plan? Well, number one, always start with your strategy. It's always the strategy. Who's your ideal client? What's their language and what are they searching for? Right? Number two is create your content pillars. So if you've got your content pillars, you've already got your keywords, you then go, right, I need to create bios now. I've got to create my bios, my about sections, my descriptions, all using the content pillars, because we've already done that. That's already worked out who your ideal client is, what they're struggling with. So you can do that. Here, it's actually saying that you should do that quarterly. You should update your about sections and your bios quarterly. I probably do it half annually, like half yearly, I probably do. And making sure that you're putting in the keywords. And again, we have ChatGPT. It's so easy. So if you've got the ideal audience, you've got what they're struggling with, you got your content pillars. Now you just have to do the next step, which is ask it to do your bios and descriptions. And then you batch your hashtag sets. So you might pre-build like a whole bunch of hashtags. You might start like a hashtag folder, and you might go, right, these are the hashtags that we're going to use, like do some hashtag research, put it in the 3 columns, red, yellow, green, high use, medium use, low use. And then when you create your reels, your carousels, your blogs, you can have a look at it and go, which are going to be the most relevant to this post? Because remember, all the platforms prioritize relevancy. So make sure the hashtags are relevant to that post. Engage in hashtag communities. We spoke about that already. So you just want to make sure that you're doing that. And then you want to track your performance. So make sure that you're reviewing hashtags. If you don't do it weekly, at least do it once a month. And you want to drop the low performers and you want to scale the ones with reach and saves, which is really important. So an example of this is that in Google My Business, when you go in, it gives you the top 5 keywords that people are using in order to find your platform. So if you're not going in and looking at that and seeing if that's changing, you're shooting yourself in the foot. And then you've got to stay agile. So, social media platforms, they change often. So you've got to refresh your hashtags and your keyword search at least quarterly. So hashtags and algorithms are definitely the secret sauce when it comes to organic reach. So you don't need to rely on paid ads. You can create content that gets seen, and you can build long-term brand equity and reach when you master this. So it's not really fluff. It really is all about the functionality. It's the same thing as if you go for a run, you can go for a run with good shoes, and you're not going to get injured and you're going to be able to run further, or you can go and you can run with bad shoes and get nowhere and get injuries. So it's important that you learn it, test it, tweak it, just make sure that it is a priority and it is in your daily and weekly activity sheet. All right. So I'm going to say goodbye to you, those of you who are watching on YouTube right now. Thanks so much for watching. We're going to go to our live audience. In order for you to be part of the live audience, you do need to be a paid member, where we get the opportunity now to go behind the scenes and share our action steps, answer questions, and show you some behind the scenes stuff. If you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe and you turn on your notifications, and leave us a comment below and let us know if you've enjoyed this video. This is Chantal Gerardy from Online Business Marketing.